Welcome to Cultivating Courage, a podcast exploring fear, courage, and stepping into a life filled with purpose, connection, and love. In this week's episode, we're talking all about time. How do we see it? How do we make choices around time? And how do we powerfully use our time? We're also talking Sudoku and Netflix binges. Stay tuned to find out who's obsessed with what. Welcome back to another episode of Cultivating Courage. I am one of your hosts, Kristen Robinson, the owner of Thrive Coaching Studio. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me at thrivecoachingstudio.com.
Can I find you on Bumble?
Yes. No. I don't know.
I'm gonna reset my account.
You could find me on Hinge.
Oh, on Hinge. Okay,
I'm not
nice.
active, so if you match with me, I won't know it for probably about a month.
Okay, good. Well, I've been waiting, just wondering if you were gonna.
Well, it's funny because I did actually match with somebody I had already been on a date with from a different app, and like we had become friends.
Oh.
So then when we matched, it was just like
fun.
him mussing around, right? Because I came up, so he swiped right, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's so funny!"
Nice,
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is kind of funny. I'm Matt, by the way. I'm Matt Maxwell, also a host of the podcast, fellow host. That's
Fellow
probably
host.
Good. I went to a speed dating event. Did I tell you about this?
No, I didn't know those still existed.
They do still exist because there's people that, you
Wanna
plan
meet
on a
in
date,
person.
you meet,
Oh.
and then within 5 minutes, you're like,
No, thank you.
oh, this isn't my person.
Yeah.
And so, but then you're like there, right? So
Yes.
speed dating gives you a chance to like meet like 10 people in an hour
Yeah.
or two. So I went to this event and it was pretty cool. It was like on your phone, and I can't remember the company. I would give them a shout out, but they have people there. But what happens is you have like an account on your phone, and then when it's time to switch, they show you a picture of the person.
Oh, and you have to like go
and
find
you're, like,
the person.
like in the bar or whatever that it's
but
at.
still, it's not like you
It's
stand
not
up
like
from
you
your
go
table
around
and go to the next
exactly.
one. Yeah.
So you like see the person, and then you like go find them, and then it's cool because when the time's up, you can do like a really quick review of the person.
Oh, sure. Like
because based on how you
5
review
stars.
them, they like match you or not. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a star rating.
Yeah.
So anyway, I met this thing, and I've met with a few people, and then this person's picture pops up.
You're like, she looks familiar.
Who I've been on a date with, like probably 2.5 years ago. But as soon as I saw her picture, it's like the same picture from her
Of course it was.
Bumble profile or whatever from 2
From
years
2
ago.
years ago, yes.
And I was like, oh man. And the thing about it is that I remembered the date better than she did.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, like, did she remember you?
She did. She was
Yeah.
like, we've met. And I was like, yeah, we did.
have.
And I
My hair
remember
was
what I
shorter
remember
then.
about that date is a couple things. One, that I was like pretty interested, not like all in, but like, and then we went. It was like a brunch or something. We walked after that and actually crossed paths with someone I dated like 3 years before that. And it was the first time I'd seen her. It was just super awkward and
Yeah.
like crazy. And anyways, she didn't really remember much of the date, but what I particularly remembered is that when I reached back out to her, she had said she wasn't interested. So we're in this awkward speed
Right.
dating thing where it's like, how's your life? Do you remember how you said you weren't interested?
Right. You're like, hey, do you think that's changed? Like,
Is there any point in
major
exploring this
updates?
more?
Like,
Do you like me with longer hair? Is there any? Anyway, I didn't follow back up with her.
1 star.
And speaking of speed dating, this episode's about time.
Yes, it is.
Isn't that the perfect segue?
I know. I was just thinking that in my head.
And we were just talking before the episode about how often it seems like there's not enough time.
Yep.
That is like the problem.
Yes.
Because I have these things I want to do, and this and these relationships, and
My
I
to-do
don't have
list
enough
and the
time.
people and the job and
Yes.
all the things.
And it makes me think of Lord of the Rings. And a lot of things make me think of Lord of the Rings.
That's why I love you, Matt.
Yep. And
It's actually why James loves you too.
there's this moment.
One of many reasons.
Okay, I've seen the Fellowship of the Ring enough that I can vaguely quote the whole thing, but like not enough to actually get it exactly right.
We'll edit that part out of this episode.
Okay. So I'm about to quote from Lord of the Rings kind of poorly. But if we were like really cool, we'd be like, on our page,
James
look up this clip on YouTube.
Or
it's really
we would
beautiful.
just have James pop it in. Oh, we probably can't though from copyright, right?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not.
It would knock this thing out. Okay, well, I'll just do a little.
I was just gonna say we could act it out.
Yeah. Okay.
If I knew it better.
Yeah, you do know it well enough?
No.
Okay, so then I'll do both parts, and then you can say how good it was after this. Okay, so they're in the mines of Moria before it gets all crazy with the orcs, and they're like kind of lost, and it's dark, and Frodo's like talking to Gandalf about the ring and everything, and he's like, I don't want to do this, something like that. He's like, yeah, Gandalf, I'm scared, and he's like, I just wish something like I didn't have to live in these times. Like, why do I have to live in these times when there's the ring and the Sauron? And Gandalf says something like, that's not for you to decide. All you have to decide is what to do with the time that's been given to you. So, I actually have a clock in my apartment that has that quote around the outside of it, a big, huge clock. It says, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that's given to us. I don't know how wise that is of a mindset, but it does seem to simplify things a little bit.
Yeah.
But sometimes actually making the choice, we have this time that's given to us, deciding how to use it is basically the substance of our life. Mm-hmm. So how does time go for you?
Time goes for me in I'm so busy. Like, that's how I see time. Like, oh, I'm so busy. Mm-hmm. And yet I regularly find time to watch television.
Yes, but I don't have time for...
But I don't have time to write all the things I need to write. I don't have time to create all the social media that I need to create to promote my business. But I have time to watch one more episode of a weird show that I don't really even enjoy.
Mm-hmm. But feels good to like space out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So sense of I'm busy, I don't have time for all the things I want to do, but somehow there does still seem to be time for...
But it's almost like I don't have time for all the things I need to do, not necessarily want to do. Like, I have time for the things I want to do.
Oh,
that I see as like fun.
Got it.
The things that I need to do that would be fun, and that once I get into them, I enjoy. But like getting into them, those are like usually the things I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, gotcha. So there's a choosing, and if we're looking at just like, how do we choose the time that's given to us? There's a clear choosing for some things that are fun, just purely fun.
Yes.
And that seems easier.
Yes.
Then, and I think it's actually fascinating that you say that, because I'm like, well.
Yeah. What is it for you?
Well, it's just interesting because I definitely do that. But it's like, who's wanting to do what? What part of my personality? There's some time choices that are made based on like, basically like a teenager version of myself. That's like, I don't want to do my homework. I just
want
gonna
to play the video games.
Yeah, play video games or watch a show or read a book. That's actually, I don't really do that anymore, but I used to. But yeah, like it's doing the things I want to do, but that I may not actually be like me from my most centered, conscious place. And no judgment about how we choose to spend any of our time.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, who was choosing that? Last 2 hours that I spent playing Sudoku puzzles.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's really aligned with anything I want other than just getting to zone out for a while.
Right. Yeah. For me, like that choice is almost like if I'm choosing to watch TV over read a book that like is meaningful to a project I'm working on, not just like a pleasurable zone out sort of book, but like a book that I need to read to gain knowledge on a topic.
Yeah.
Like if I'm choosing to watch TV instead of read that type of book, or if I choose to watch TV instead of work on new website copy or whatever it is, that's 100%, or let's say like 95% coming from a place of I need to do it right. It has to be just perfect. And if it's not going to be perfect, then why bother? So let's turn on the TV and watch TV. Got
it.
Yeah.
This discussion is making me think of a book. So while we're continuing to talk, I want to look it up so I can give the proper shout out. It's interesting because, as we think about just like what are our automatics, there's a bunch of our kind of automatic ways of being and doing that are related to how we choose to use our time.
Yep.
And there's what I hear from you is that sometimes that choosing is just like kind of like pleasure now, or distraction, kind of
right.
Easy now.
Yes, like
over
long day. There's no way I'm getting anything else done. Like turn the TV on, and like that's one choice.
Yeah.
Or a place of being, and then there's another place where it's like. If you are a landmark listener, it's like your act showing up. If you've been in some sort of coach training, you might call it like your saboteur, or I don't know what accomplishment calls it. Like that's what CTI calls it. It's like your saboteur. It's all the same thing, but it's like that automatic of like, you're not good enough or you're not smart enough, like whatever it is for whoever, like it's different for everybody. But like that flavor of, I'm not doing this because.
Yeah.
And it might not feel like scary.
So
it might feel
well,
like whatever. But yeah, the thing
is
that
I know some people who their automatic is to never do things that they want to do.
Right.
It's like the other side of the spectrum, which is like they're workaholics.
Grind it out.
Right. And so there's like, I can't be happy now. I've got to put in the hours, and they've got like a default that's like not actually allowing them to relax. So it's not that there's like the right way to be.
Right.
It's just our automatic sometimes doesn't give us the experience of other things we'd like. Like might be getting things done that we really care about on one end.
Right.
And on the other end, it's like you never get to relax and you're getting a lot done, but you're miserable.
Right.
Okay, the book that I thought of is called Happier. Learn the Secrets to Daily Joy and Lasting Fulfillment by Tal Ben-Shahar, who is teaches this course at Harvard about being happy. And one of the things that stuck with me from the book is, I think this is so interesting in light of like time, how we're choosing to spend time. So he has a few kind of categories of people, but like more like ways we're being. And one is basically what he would call the rat racer, which is like, that's the person who's working.
Yep.
And it's always with an eye towards like, I'll be happy when. If I could just get this stuff done now, if I could just get this done and this done and this done. And they're in the rat race. And, those are the people that are like went to college and studied and got everything done in 3 years. And then, they took their job and they got to work really hard those first few years on the job. And it's like, we know these people at law firms that are still putting off happiness after 40 years of being in the rat race.
Right.
And he's like in that if you're, it's like, I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
You're probably never going to be happy, like coming from there.
Yeah.
And then there's like the hedonist who's just about, so it's like the rat racer is like forgoing current benefit or pleasure for future benefit.
Yes. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that like graduated at the top of their class, went to college, it could be anybody. It could be somebody that's working a minimum wage job or working 3 minimum wage jobs.
Yes.
But they're working hard. I got to work hard now so I can enjoy my life later.
Yeah. And that's it's the mind, wherever you're at, it's that mindset of like getting through this, basically choosing misery now for some hoped for benefit later. Sometimes we got to do that. And so it's not like that's the wrong way to be, but sometimes that's how people are doing life.
Right.
And then there's the like pleasure now, forget the future. Like kind of like hedonist, which is just like, I just want to feel good now. And to the extent, that's probably the part of me that's playing Sudoku puzzles or whatever, like no future benefit whatsoever. It's just like, I want to feel good now.
Now, I hate to say there's no future benefit, but I think we could probably find a study that says doing Sudoku puzzles is
right?
good for your brain and anti-Alzheimer's.
Is that right?
I would guess that we could find a study that says that.
I think so. I heard somebody once say on a podcast.
Was her name Kristen?
Yeah. That Sudoku puzzles have a lot of future benefit. So there was a deep inner wisdom in my like hour a day lately of playing Sudoku puzzles, I'm going to say. Okay, so let's use a different example. I don't know what it would be. Eating ice cream and whatever. Just like,
eating
I just
ice
want to be
cream,
happy now. So anyways, one of the perspectives he shares in the book is for inviting us to look for what brings us joy now and provides a future benefit as a place to look. Like for me, like I'm like, oh, I love learning. There's a lot of things I love learning about that it's like pleasurable in the moment and also might be helping me long term.
Right.
What do you see there?
I see that I like that idea, but that I very easily turn that into a distraction. Like, especially the learning example, like I too love to learn, but I often like learn about just random stuff that probably isn't going to help me in the future, but might if I'm doing a podcast and somebody brings up doing Sudoku as a waste of time.
Yeah.
Right? Like I like learning things in depth, but I also really enjoy just like quick hits of kind of weird random knowledge. And so I don't know, is that a good use of time? Good use of my time or not? Like maybe if I'm using it as like I'm at work and I've been like staring at a computer screen for 2 hours straight working on this one Excel document, maybe a quick hit of like random knowledge is a good use of that time, right? Like get me out of that, gives me pleasure and joy.
How much of your life do you spend wondering whether it's a good use of your time?
Not that much. Except for like, I guess in moments like this, if somebody were to ask, like if we were going to like sit down and like talk about time like we are right now, then I wonder.
Start to evaluate.
But like when I'm in it and in life, I'm not necessarily wondering like, is this a good use of my time? I'm generally pretty clear on whether it is or not.
Oh, you know. It's not a question.
Yeah.
But there may be a judgment. This isn't.
Yes. Yeah. What about you?
Constantly. There is a pretty much a near constant track going on that's questioning. You know, you're doing this now, but shouldn't you really be, you know, basically anything I choose to do. And it's kind of the curse of the degree of freedom I've provided myself, right? It used to be that it was like, well, I go to my job. I have to go to my job.
Right.
And I have to make money. And there was like,
and there's certain expectations of what I need to get done at my job.
I wasn't questioning it. It was just like, well, if nothing else today, I made some money, and I guess that's good.
Yeah.
And I hear teachers experience this a lot.
Oh, in the summer?
Yeah. I was like confused when I left my law job and I had all this space to choose how my days were going to be. I was like depressed a lot. And it took me months to figure it out. Like, why am I so depressed? I've dreamed of this degree of freedom. And you know, when you're trapped in like the hardworking phases, freedom just seems like it would be the
ultimate.
Yeah. Happy, immediate key to happiness.
Yeah.
And it's like the tyranny of choice. There's a way in which having a really wide range of options can actually be torture.
Yeah.
Because there can be so much questioning about, am I really doing what I should be doing? Shouldn't I? And, you know, it's like, well, I'm working on this project, but shouldn't you be? And these are all things where like, I have a great, like I'll be working on my book and I'm writing my book. And it's like, shouldn't you be calling potential clients? And I'll be calling potential clients. And it's like, shouldn't you be like, it's just, it doesn't matter what it is that you're working on. But you don't get that when you're in it. You're listening and you're like, oh gosh, yeah, I probably should be. And there's these things on my to-do list. And shouldn't I be having fun right now? I should just have some fun.
Oh, I forgot to have fun.
And then I'm having fun. And then it's like, you should be working. And it's like, it doesn't matter what I am doing. That voice doesn't let up.
Yeah.
So luckily I've learned like through meditation and like my own work to just like, it's okay. there actually isn't a right way to do life.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong here. It's just choosing what you want to do, committing to it, working towards it. But man, that thing can still, and then I get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because there's all of this, I want to do this and this and this and this and this. And so I commit to it all. And then I'm like, how the hell do I do
You're
this?
like, I've got 30 minutes free on Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Now what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those 30 minutes, I have, when I sit down, I have 13 different things on my to-do list.
Right. Hopefully including
Each
like
of which
showering.
will take more than a half hour. And I'm like, how does this going to happen?
Yeah.
And so then things fall out of integrity, right? Or I
Yeah.
have to readjust somehow. Like, hey, I told you I was going to do this. And actually, it probably won't happen until April.
Yeah.
Like, I have to resort. And so for me, it's like this pendulum
Yeah.
from like, okay, let me get rid of all these commitments. Let me free up, like, get into integrity, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm like, oh, well, there's this thing I want to do and that
Yeah.
thing I want to do. And then I'm starting to commit again.
Vicious circle.
And then, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's probably fine.
Yeah.
My life still happens, but.
So I have to ask James what he's hearing in this last 5 minutes of conversation for himself. So listeners, a little background. If you're new to us, James just experienced going from a 9 to 5 to doing his own thing. And so I think some of this probably rings true since I saw him vigorously nodding his head.
I definitely feel I feel like it's more so that I don't have I still don't have the structure, the time structure that I thought I would at this point. So like when you're sitting there with that 30 minutes to do it, God forbid 8:30 in the morning. Holy Jesus.
It could be 8:30 at night for you.
It would be great. Yeah, I mean, I use Google Calendar. I have stuff kind of plotted out, but it's still it's literally seconds matter because you know I would love right now to be eating food. I don't have time to eat food anymore because there's just I don't, Matt. Quit looking at me like that. I don't have time. I really don't have time to eat because I'm constantly working. It's rewarding work, yeah, but it's you know just finding those little moments is so hard. And if I had those 30 minutes like at 8:30, I'd still probably just be frantically searching for more work to do.
Yeah.
You know.
So you're what I'm hearing is you're kind of stuck in that first space of do more.
Yeah.
And I'll relax when I've got X amount in the bank, or I'll relax when I've got X number of shows that I'm producing
Yeah.
or
Yeah. And even then it's like, you know, and it might just be person to person, and this might just be me, but like I need to do more work. I would rather be working than eating.
Yeah, cool. So now we're getting somewhere. Like, listeners, this is cool because this is how we speak. And I think it may be subtle, but it generates a different experience of life, right? From, I don't have time to. That came up a few times, right? I just don't have time.
Yeah.
And that's how it feels sometimes.
Yeah.
That's how we're seeing it, right? So there's an experience that's like, it's basically something else is running my life.
Yeah.
It's like I'm at the effect of. And then where you turned there towards the end was like, actually, like, I need to work and I would rather be doing that than eating.
Yeah.
And to me, that occurs like I'm choosing this.
yes, it feels like a more powerful choice.
Which may not make much of a difference for us, but for me, it feels different to say, like, rather than like, I just can't help it. Time is running my
Right.
life, right? I don't have the time.
I could
to.
go upstairs
This is how I'm choosing.
whenever I want and get food.
Yeah,
but I
but
choose
no,
not
you can't
to.
do it right now, dude.
No.
No, you're here for the podcast. You
Right.
have no choice.
I don't have a choice right now. I really don't.
No, but you could. And even now, right, like actually to own that time's not running my life. I am.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing to spend the time watching the show or playing the puzzle or working my ass off or whatever it is. actually starts to give us more options.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. If we can see like, no, I'm choosing this.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to get us like super off course, but I think the idea of choice is incredibly powerful in all areas of our life, not just when it comes to time.
Yeah.
The idea that in any situation, you always have a choice. Like, it doesn't always feel like you have a choice, but your life can be lived so much more powerfully if you are always choosing. You might not get to choose the thing you want, but you can recognize that it's still a choice. Like, I want to do this. This is what I want, but I can't right now. It's not realistic. So I'm choosing to do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a choice.
Yeah, I hear in that. It's like this is Stephen Covey talks about this, and he talks about it in reference to Viktor Frankl and in Man's Search for Meaning, where Viktor Frankl talks about his experiences in a concentration camp as a prisoner. And one of the things he said that he saw was like, even there, in what most would consider like as rotten of human circumstances as there has been or could be, like even there, I can choose how I respond. So life's doing whatever it's doing, but I still have a choice. Even in like a prisoner, I have a choice about how I respond.
Yeah.
Is that kind of
Yeah,
where
it's
you're going?
actually an even bigger idea than what I was talking about, but just as I think important, if not more, is the idea that not just in our doing we have a choice, but in our being, right? We have a choice. So, and how we see the world, we have a choice. And how we see the world and how we choose to be in that world, when we choose from a powerful place, I mean, holy shit, you guys. Like, if you're connected with like what's important to you, so if working, James, right, is the thing that's important to you, and instead of seeing it as like, I'm a workaholic, labeling it, right, as I'm a workaholic, all I do is work, or I have to work, but giving yourself the gift of switching that and seeing that differently and choosing to see it differently provides a whole different world of freedom for you. I would suggest. I don't know.
No, yeah, I mean,
I don't live your life.
Giving, like, it gives me personally a sense of agency that I wouldn't have otherwise, because saying, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. First of all, we put ourselves in these situations. Like, that's, I chose to quit my job and do all this, and this is a result of my choices. And to not own that is to be dishonest above anything, really. And there's power in that. You got to own that. And the more agency you can give yourself, the more powerful you become. So that's, I feel good about it. It's not a complaint. It's just it's a fact, and I like it. I'll be hungry a little longer, and then eventually I will choose to eat.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I noticed my bias around you getting fed. That seems like a nice thing.
It's probably because usually, so for our listeners, usually we record these in the morning.
Yeah.
And James does intermittent fasting. And so when we record these, he can't eat anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's not time
yes.
yet. But now
Is it
we're
time?
Now is my
recording this
window to
evening.
choose.
Yeah, choose to eat.
And we've taken up the space
Yeah.
of now he could actually be eating,
I could be.
but he can't.
I'm choosing not to.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love this. It's like subtle, but it just feels so much more empowered, right? Like, we become victims of our to-do list, or of other people's expectations, or of our calendar, or whatever it is. And in a way, it becomes the truth. If I think that I don't have a choice about this appointment I'm supposed to go to,
Then you don't.
I don't.
Yeah.
I am at the effect of it.
Yep.
I have to do whatever the calendar says or whatever the externally imposed decision making is. And it becomes the truth.
Yep.
And just shifting to, I'm going to this because I choose it. I'm sitting here because I choose it. I'm speaking because I choose it, right? In any moment. Doesn't seem that big, but I'm like, oh yeah. Because if I'm choosing this, then I could choose something else. Mm-hmm. I actually do have a choice. And then options open up.
Yeah. And sometimes you might choose the thing that doesn't really feel that great. Mm-hmm. But you're still choosing, like,
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's not to say you're always doing what you like feels good,
right.
or but I think most of us, most of what we're up to, sometimes it's like, oh, this thing is not aligned. I actually want to choose out of it. Like, this doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it because
unsubscribe.
Yeah. Unsubscribe.
Not to the podcast.
For me,
to the things in your life you don't enjoy. Subscribe to the podcast.
Subscribe. Yeah. I was thinking earlier when you were like talking about a good use of time. I was like, and listener, right now, is this a good use of your time? I hope so, but maybe you should choose not to listen. I don't know. Listen, I hope you keep listening, but you do have a choice, which I imagine you already know. Probably no one needs to tell you. Where was I going? I had some great insight. It's gone.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm sure it'll come back if it mattered.
I bet it will. Speaking of time, I have no idea how long we've been talking.
Oh no, we weren't.
I believe it has been 27 minutes.
Okay, we're getting close.
Great.
How about we share this? What from our conversation is most inspiring you?
For me, I think I feel inspired to do what I've been saying I'm going to do, which is unplug my TV and turn it to face the wall, so that if I want to watch TV, I have to physically turn my TV around and plug it in. To just really get me out of the habit and the easy, it's the easy choice for me is it's definitely my default. Like, oh, I've had a bad day, or not even bad. I don't have bad days anymore really, but oh, it's been a long day, or, oh, I just don't feel like it. So to have to really put that in place, that structure in place to stop and think and choose. And I might choose to turn my TV around.
Right. But it gives you a shot at choosing from
Yes.
a more centered
Yes.
choice
Exactly.
rather than just your automatic.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It makes me think, I think we talked about this earlier in the episode, different parts of us. Mm-hmm. Who's I
choosing?
that's wanting this?
Or who's wanting, who's doing,
What part of me, and it's what I hear there is there's times where I want to watch TV. Mm-hmm. And I also want to do some things that maybe make a more lasting difference in my life, or more aligned with the future I want, or whatever.
Check some things off the list.
And when those eyes come
in conflict,
it's just creating a structure that would make it a little bit more easy for that long term, maybe more centered place to win out over the shorter term.
Well, and I think what was coming to me as you were saying that is, whether we're aware of it or not, we're always choosing. I don't know that we said that very clearly earlier, but that's the whole point, to me, is whether you're aware of it or not, you are always choosing. And so to come from a place of recognizing that you have a choice is just, it allows you to truly be the author of how things go for you.
Yeah, I love that. And it's actually owning the choice. Cool. I love that. I mean, it's like Gandalf said, all you have to do is decide what
how to use the time.
Yeah,
you've
maybe
been
what
given.
he should have said is, you're already deciding.
Yeah, you're deciding
So where do you
how
want
to
to
use your
decide
time,
from?
whether you know
Where
or
are you
you
going to
do.
actually choose from?
Yeah. James,
Yeah.
what's your biggest takeaway?
That you are ultimately responsible for everything that happens, and you gotta own it, And the more you own it, the happier you'll be.
Yeah.
Amen.
What are you owning?
That every second is a gift, and I got to decide what to do with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's big. Okay. So, let's talk practice for the week.
Okay.
I feel like it should have something to do with exploring what your default is, whether it's the default in how you see time or the default in the choices you make with your time. That part I'm unclear about. And then I think the second piece should be something around like just choosing. And we always say this, I feel like no judgment is part of every practice that we create.
Yeah.
But it's
Rightfully
true,
so.
right? Because
Yeah.
like we as humans, we just judge everything.
Yeah.
Each other, ourselves, everything.
Yeah.
So to choose and have no judgment around it. If you choose to binge watch that show, cool. No judgment. Just recognize that you're making a choice.
Cool.
I guess. So I don't know. Maybe you can clean all that up for people.
Okay. Let's see. Well, what came to mind as you were saying that for me was that, yeah, so there's like noticing, just like, where am I choosing? How am I choosing? And then I think as we're looking at how we're choosing around time, there's like inviting the awareness of what matters most to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, the alignment.
Yeah, from like that centered place. Like what really matters to me when I think about that, I think like my relationships. I think just like experiencing love. I think about the long-term difference I want to make in my life and in the world, you know. So whatever it is for you, whatever it is, getting present to what matters most, and then bringing that into your time.
Yeah.
How, you know, would a person that looked at, like, if some objective alien were watching my life for a week,
Right.
would they actually
Believe that you're using your time.
would they know what matters most to me
Right,
through
right.
where I'm spending my time?
Right. If an alien was judging what's important to you solely by how you're spending your time, would they get
Would
it
they
right?
know? Yeah.
Wow.
Make it so.
Deep thoughts on the Cultivating Courage podcast. Y'all better tune in next week for more.
Yep. Would the aliens come to speak to us? They'll be on the next episode.
Because James is amazing and he'll make a little alien for us.
Yeah, baby.
Have a great week, you guys.
We'll
Thanks for
see you
joining
later.
us.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. I'm Matt Maxwell. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or other social media, or learn about coaching with me at thisishearthstone.com. And please check out my book, How to Hold a Cockroach, now available through Amazon. You can connect with Kristen on Instagram at Robinson Kristen, that's Kristin, or find her upcoming workshops at thrivecoachingstudio.com. Please subscribe to us wherever you listen and leave a great review.
And don't forget our practice for the week. As you're making choices about time, allow yourself to consider what matters most to you.